Okay, well, let's work off our tensions here. This is a good class. Welcome to Ashtanga. My name is Clint. Okay, come to the top of your mat. Get your feet about hip width apart. And that's 2 fist widths in between your arches is about hip width. That also allows you to bend over a little bit easier. Interesting. So from here, stand up straight with your chest high. Isometrically drag your feet toward each other, firing up all the muscles in your legs so you can feel this all the way from your feet and your toes, ankles, knees, thighs. Then take your upper inner thighs, rotate them towards the back. And then in that space you created, tuck your tailbone under, tilting your pelvis back. That will help maintain your lower lumbar arch in your spine. Lift the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Tuck your chin in just a little bit. Raise your shoulders up towards your ears. And then rotate them towards the back. Shoulder blades kiss. Begin to descend down towards your hips. Let your hands come to whatever position that feels comfortable for you. And maintain all your muscles here. This is the beginning of the warm-up. Breathe in and out through your nose. And then begin to engage your mula bandhas, your pelvic floor muscles, those kegel muscles. And that will begin to develop more heat. Something we all can use today. And notice your breath here. And then add to your mula bandhas, your uddiyana bandhas, those muscles halfway between your navel and your pubic bone. Engage those. And with that tightening, it affects your lungs. The diaphragmatic breathing becomes a little more challenging because your diaphragm can no longer push your organs down below your rib cage. But it forces you to expand your chest. Separate your ribs. And as you breathe into the tops of your lungs, even your collarbone and your top 2 ribs rise just a little bit. And feel the heat beginning to come. And last, engage your Jalalahara bandhas. That's your glottis in the back of your throat. Begin to close that off somewhat so that your voice or your breath has a voice. And the sound of your breath will help you determine whether or not you need to take a break. As we get into the vinyasas and the other poses, if you lose control of your breath, and you begin to sound like a Harley, that's your body telling you that you need to take a break. So take a break. And listen carefully. On your next inhale, bring your arms out to the side, up and overhead. Gaze up at your hands as the palms come together. And then float your palms down to heart center, Samastitihi, and then lower your hands to Utkatasana. Inhale, up again. Arch your back. Lower your hands down. Utkatasana. Inhale, arms overhead. This time, swan dive forward. You bend your knees a little or a lot, bringing your hands down towards the mat. If they don't reach, that's okay. If your knees are bent a little or a lot, that's fine. But with each inhale, try to straighten your legs a little bit more. And each exhale, forward fold a little more. On your fifth inhale, come up halfway, gaze at that horizon. Exhale, forward fold. Gaze at your knees. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms out and overhead. And hands come back down to Samastitihi and then Tadasana. Now, if you have tight hamstrings, even separating your legs a little bit farther will help. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive all the way forward. We'll be here for 5 breaths, just like all the other poses in this Ashtanga class. You can grab onto the backs of your ankles to draw your collarbones down and your chest towards your knees. And on your fifth inhale, come up halfway, gaze at that horizon. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, use your legs, rise all the way up, arms out overhead, palms together, hands to Samastitihi and Tadasana. Inhale, arms overhead, gaze up at your hands, grab your left wrist with your right hand, weight into your left foot, begin to the side bend to the right. Keep that left bicep over your left ear. Push that hip out a little bit further. Maybe you can come a little farther, but don't come forward. That would make it into a twist. In 5, inhale, rise all the way up. Switch hands, weight to your right foot, and then to the left. Side bend left. Just try to lengthen that right arm by pushing your left hand higher. And 5, inhale all the way back up. Hands to Samastitihi. And then Tadasana. Inhale, arms overhead, gaze up. Exhale, swan dive all the way forward. From here, on your next exhale, bring your left hand out to the side, out and up, twisting to the left. Your goal here is to get your shoulder blades vertical. And on your fifth exhale, lower that left arm all the way down. Inhale that right arm all the way up. Your right leg can be straight, left can be bent. In 5, exhale, right hand all the way down, forward fold. Inhale up halfway, gaze at that horizon. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. Hands to Samastitihi, and then Tadasana. Okay, now we get into the real warm-up. We're going to do 4 Namaskara A's and 2 B's. we're going to modify the first A. We're going to hold in plank for about 10 breaths or whenever I lose count. But you can always come down onto your knees. This is to shock your shoulders so that your shoulders get ready for the rest of the practice. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway, gaze at that horizon. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump back to plank and pause here. Your wrist creases should be beneath your shoulders. Your gaze is straight down. Try to draw your shoulder blades together. Isometrically draw your upper arms towards each other. Six. And 10, lower down all the way, come forward and down. Put your toenails on the mat. Your hands are next to your chest. And inhale, lift your chest up into cobra. And exhale, curl your toes under. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Walk out your dog. Four. And 5. Look between your hands. Hop, step, or float to the front of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Arms overhead. And hands to Samasthiti. And then to Tadasana. Okay, now you can take a break at any time. Let your breath determine when that is. Don't let your brain make that decision for you. It will always cut you more slack than your body needs. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump back to plank. Come down halfway. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now you can walk out your dog at any time. Tight hamstrings, bring your feet wide. See the difference that makes. And 5, look between your hands. Hop, step, float. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms out overhead. Hands to Samasthiti. And then to Tadasana. Again, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step and jump back to plank and down halfway. Inhale, slide forward to up dog. Exhale, down dog. Slow down your breathing. And 5, look between your hands. Hop, step, or float. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. And then hands to Samasthiti. And then to Tadasana. One more. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump back to plank and down halfway. slide forward into up dog. Exhale, down dog. And 5, look between your hands, hop, step, or float to forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up all the way, arms overhead. Hands to Samastitihi, and then Tadasana. Okay, so Namaskara B, my favorite. We start with Utkatasana, chair pose for 5 breaths, and then a vinyasa, right back into down dog. Turn your left foot out as you start going up into down dog, and take a right foot forward into warrior 1. Exhale, your hands go right back down. Another vinyasa, turn your right foot out as you go back into down dog, step that left foot forward. So there's no extra time here. So come back to Tadasana. On your next inhale, drop your seat, raise your hands up into chair pose. Lengthen those arms. Sink in just a little bit more. 3. Tuck your tailbone under. That will lengthen your spine. And 5, on your exhale, forward fold over straight legs. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump back to plank. Come down halfway. Inhale, slide forward to up dog. Exhale, down dog. Turn that left foot up. As you go up, step your right foot forward. Inhale to warrior 1. Exhale, hands straight back down. Step back to plank. Come down again. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right foot turns out. Left comes forward. Inhale, warrior 1. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back to plank. Down halfway. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And rest here for 5 breaths. Slow down your breathing. Then 5, look between your hands. Hop, step, or float. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Listen carefully. On your inhale, drop your seat. Rotate your arms up to Utkatasana. And rise all the way up. Arms overhead. Then hands to Samastitihi. And then Tadasana. Okay, if we were all a bunch of 30-year-olds, we'd be doing 5 of these. So, okay, we're going to do one more, but we're going to pause, and you can just listen to my cues. But we'll pause in warrior 1. So, on your next inhale, drop your seat, raise your hands up into Utkatasana, chair pose. On your 5th exhale, forward fold over straight legs, gaze at your knees. Inhale up halfway, gaze at that horizon. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump back to plank. Come down halfway. Inhale to up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left foot turns out, right foot steps forward. Inhale up to warrior 1 and pause here for 5 breaths. Work on your pose here. Make sure that your left pinky toe is down. Your hips are square to the front of the mat. And on your fifth exhale, let your arms float out and down. Come behind your back, interlace your fingers. Push your knuckles down, chest up. And exhale, forward fold into humble warrior. Crown of your head comes down. Your knuckles go up. And 5, release your bind. Let your arms come down towards the mat. Rotate them forward and back up to warrior 1. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back to plank. Forward and down halfway. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right foot turns out. Left comes forward. Inhale, rise up to warrior 1 on the left. Adjust your stance if you need it. Your hips might require that. And on 5, let your arms float outside. Come around behind you. Interlace your fingers the wrong way. The opposite way of what you did before, so it feels wrong. Push your knuckles down, lifting up your chest. And exhale, humble warrior. And as your crown of your head comes down, your gaze is off towards your right foot. Your knuckles are up towards the sky. Thank heavens today it's not the sky, but a ceiling. And 5, release your bind. Let your arms rotate down towards the mat. Come back over into warrior 1. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step and jump back to plank. Down halfway. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And rest here for 5 breaths. If you want to go into child, go ahead. Or just table. And 5, look between your hands. Hop, step, or float. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Arms overhead. Hands to Samasthiti. And then Utkatasana. And I forgot that last Utkatasana. Oops. You're welcome. Okay. So now we're going to do Padangusthasana, which is your hands to your big toes. So standing here in Tadasana, look down at your feet. And then just top your feet as wide as your mat. Inhale, your arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Grab onto your big toes with your peace fingers. Inhale, rise up halfway. See if you can gaze at that horizon. Straightening your legs. And then exhale, forward fold. While lifting your hips up, straightening your legs. You're stretching your hamstrings. And as your arms are pulling down, you're giving relief to your wrists, your forearms, and hands. In 5, release. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms out, overhead. Hands to Samasthiti, and then to Tadasana. Now we have Hastasana. That's your palms to the soles of your feet. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Slip 1 foot at a time. Your palms underneath your soles. Maybe your toes can come all the way up to your hip wrist crease. Inhale, come up as much as you can, stretching your forearms and hands. And then exhale, forward fold. And try to stretch out your hamstrings by lifting your hips up. 3, 4, and 5. Release your bind. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. Hands to Namaskara, and then to Tadasana. Now, on an inhale, just hug your feet back, hip width apart, and you're ready for another vinyasa, which is optional. These next vinyasas after each standing series is just to maintain your heat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Or jump back to plank and down halfway. Slide forward over your toes to up dog. Exhale, down dog. Walk out your dog. And 5, look between your hands, hop, step, or float. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. And hands to Namaskara, and then to Tadasana. Okay, so next is triangle and revolve triangle. So on your next inhale, take a giant step back with your right foot towards the back of your mat. Left foot comes about 90 degrees towards the side. Bring your arms up into T. Face your chest towards the side, long length of your mat. And then gaze over your right fingers. Drop your right hip, lift your left hip. Begin to tip your triangle, lowering that right arm down, lifting the left arm up. If you have a problem with that left shoulder, you can always keep that hand on your left hip. Your right hand should be on the inside of that right leg anywhere. Could be your thigh, could be your knee, could be your ankle, or it could be your toes. But the goal here is vertical shoulder blades. And 5, inhale, rise back up. Just rotate your feet towards the front of the mat. You're in perfect position. Drop that left heel, left hip down, right hip up, and tip your triangle. Left arm down, right arm up. Now your gaze can be up at your right hand, down at your left. And 5, inhale, come back to center. Rotate your feet towards the back of the mat again. This time, step that left foot forward quite a bit. You're still in T, face the back of the mat in T. Then rotate your chest towards the right side of your mat. This revolve triangle, you'll begin to lower that left arm down onto the right side of your right leg. That right hand can go up in the air, or it can be right on your hip. Your gaze is off to the right. Four, 5, inhale. Come all the way back up into T. Rotate your feet. You'll probably have to adjust your foot locations. Stay in T, rotate towards the front of the mat, then rotate to the left. Exhale, fold forward, revolve triangle, left foot forward. Notice how different this side may be. Try drawing that left hip back On the right hip, move it forward. You might be able to deepen your pose. And 5, inhale. Rise all the way back up. Into T. Look forward, turn forward. Step your right foot to meet the left. Palms together, Samasthiti. And then Tadasana. Okay, from here, we get side angle and we'll do a prayer twist. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. The first vinyasa. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump back to plank. Down halfway. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And walk out your dog. Drop your chest between your shoulders. In 5, look between your hands. Hop, step, or float. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Arms overhead. Hands to Samasthiti. And then Tadasana. If you need a drink, grab one. Return to Tadasana. Okay, now we're going to do the side angle. So on your next inhale, another giant step back with your right foot towards the back of the mat. Come into warrior 2, bending that right knee, checking to make sure that your hips are square to the front of your mat, reaching your fingertips far apart from each other. And then bend that right elbow and begin to bend and rest the center of that right forearm on the center of your left thigh. Bring that left arm up overhead towards the corner of the ceiling wall in front of your right foot. Use that right arm to help get your shoulder blades vertical, but don't put too much weight on it. Maybe just lift that arm up off of your thigh, just so that you can say you can. And then on an inhale, rise all the way back up into T. Rotate your feet. Sink that left knee down into warrior 2. And that left elbow and come into side angle on the left. And again, notice the difference between your sides. In 5, inhale, rise all the way back up, arms into T. Rotate your feet back towards the back of the mat. Bend that front knee. Okay, you're in warrior 2 now. Just twist your chest towards the back of the mat. Bring your palms to heart center. Your left toes can be facing the back of the mat. And then rotate your chest towards the right so that as you bend forward, your left elbow catches over your right thigh into prayer twist. That left knee can be down if you wish. In 5. On an inhale, come back to center. Straighten up your legs. Arms into T. Rotate your feet towards the front of the mat. Rotate your chest towards the front. Palms to heart center. Rotate your chest towards the left. And then put your right elbow over your left thigh into prayer twist. Slow down your breath. And 5. Release your arms. Rise back up. Look forward. Step the right foot forward to meet the left. Into Samasthiti. And then Tadasana. Have another vinyasa here. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the back. Step or jump back to plank and down halfway. Roll over your toes to up dog. Exhale, down dog. And 5, look between your hands, hop, step, or float to the front of your mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. Hands to Samasthiti, and then Tadasana. Okay, next is Proserita. We're going to do A, B, C, and D. So on your next inhale, try and step back with your right foot. This time, your feet face the side of the mat. And know that you can adjust your foot widths for you. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, chest high. Push your hips forward with your hands. And then on an exhale, begin forward folding. Coming forward. And when or if it's time for you to bring your hands down onto the mat, go right ahead. Maybe your fingers come facing the front. They're the same direction that your head is. This is a hamstring stretch and groins. You can feel both. 5. Inhale, come up halfway. Bring your hands back to your hips. And then inhale, use your legs and arms to rise all the way back up. Move your hands towards the back of your pelvis. Try to draw your elbows toward each other. Inhale, chest high. Exhale, forward fold. This time, trying to keep your elbows as close together as possible as the crown of your head comes down. Remember, you can adjust your foot locations. You may need it wider or narrower. And 5, using your elbows, rise up. Chest high. Bring your arms out into T. Turn your thumbs down. Then bring your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers however you wish. Push your knuckles away. Lifting your chest. And then exhale, forward fold. Again, the crown of your head coming down. This time your knuckles go up towards the ceiling. You can really feel your shoulder blades kissing. This is a shoulder opener as well as the groins and hamstrings and ankle stretch. On your next inhale, use your breath and your hands to help draw you back up vertical. And bring your arms back out into T. Inhale, your chest high again, and exhale, forward fold, your arms out wide. As you come forward, your hands can come onto your legs. If you can reach your toes, go for that. It's not necessary. The crown of your head still comes down towards the mat. And 5, inhale, come up halfway. And rise the rest of the way up. Bring your hands to your hips. From here, you can heel toe your feet toward each other, or maybe just hop your feet toward each other. Turn towards the front, step forward into Samastitihi, and then Tadasana. Okay, we're going to do two non Ashtanga poses here, but we're going to start off with the vinyasa, but we're not going to come back to standing, and I'll cue it once we get into down dog. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump back to plank. Come down halfway. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Okay, we're going to do lizard. For those of you who do my yin class, know it as dragon. I hate it. But anyway, look between your hands, step your right foot forward, and drop your back knee. Now, you should have a nice stretch across the top of your left hip crease. That is your psoas that's being stretched. You can come down with your hands on either side of your right leg. You can bring that right knee forward of your right toes because your back knee is down, and that will stretch your right Achilles and your gastrocnemius, your calf muscles. So this is doing your hip flexors. And then inhale, come, just rise up a little bit. Move both hands to the inside. Walk that right foot out to the edge of your mat. And then begin to drop your knee outside so that you can see the sole of your foot and come down onto your elbows. Your left leg is still stretched out, the toenails down. You're opening up your right iliacus, your other hip flexor. In 5, inhale, hands back down. Walk your hands back towards your foot. When you can, release that right foot back to meet the left. Lift your hips up and back into down dog. Then look between your hands and step your left foot forward in between your hands. We'll do this on the other side. So your toenails come down. Drop your hips towards the mat. This is for everyone who does a lot of walking or running. Your hip flexors are those muscles that lift your legs. They work in conjunction with your glutes and your hamstrings. Your glutes are in opposition to your hip flexors. And then rise up just enough so that you can walk that left foot out to the left. Bring your palms back down. Drop that left knee out to the side. And then if you can come down onto your elbows. You can come down onto your blocks if you have blocks. And 5. Inhale. Put your hands on the mat. Walk your hands back to meet. Left foot to meet the right. Hips up and back into downward facing dog. Look between your hands. Hop, step, or float to the front of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Arms overhead. And hands to Samastitihi. And then Tadasana. Okay, we're going to do another pose from the down dog. So, and then we'll get down on the mat for the seated poses. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or jump back to plank, and down halfway. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And this next pose is going to stretch out your glutes. So lift your right leg up high, look between your hands, then bring your right knee behind your right wrist, coming into pigeon. Your right foot comes off to the side. Walk that left knee back. You should not have any sensation at all in that right knee. If you do, make sure that right foot is flexed. And if you still have sensations of any kind, just move that heel closer to your body center line. From here, the object is to drop all the weight you can into your hips. And then you can walk your hands forward. You can close your eyes. My teacher trainer told me about a clinical study that had proven that if your eyes are closed, nobody can see you. But since nobody can see you, just reach back with your right hand and feel your right glutes all the way from your spine, all the way to your hip socket. And you can tell exactly which glutes are being stretched here. Then walk your hands back towards your knee, lift your chest high, release that right leg back to meet the left, come up into down dog, walk that out, lift your left leg up, and then look between your hands and bring that left knee behind your left wrist, left foot off towards the right, and then walk that right knee back. And don't think that this side's going to be the same as the other. It almost is never the same. But lift up high. Also getting stimulated is your hip socket. And then when you wish, you can come forward. Maybe that you can feel this a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. You can make modifications. You can bring that left knee farther out to the left. And that just moves the glute that gets engaged. In 5, release. Walk your hands back, lifting up your chest. Curl your right toes under. Lift your hips up, release the left leg back, coming into down dog. Four and 5. Looking between your hands. You can just drop your knees. You can jump all the way through to seated. But you'll end up in Dandasana. Now, if you normally have your feet close together, bring them apart just to humor me. Inhale your spine tall. Bring your hands to the mat. Now, if you can't straighten out your arms, or your arms are too short, you can bring your hands behind your hips. That will allow your calves to lower. Lift your chest high. Push your heels away. This is a hamstring stretch and a spine stretch. And 5, release. Bend your knees, bring your footprints onto the mat. Adjust your hand locations. Tuck your tailbone under. And on an inhale, lift your hips up into reverse table. Draw your heels towards your hands. Push your knees towards the front of your mat. And lifts your hips up just a little bit more. And on an exhale, lower back down. And bring your legs back out in front. Now we have Utkatasana. So inhale, lift your chest tall. And exhale, forward fold. Grab for your toes if you can reach them. One with each hand. And then draw your collarbones towards your feet. The crown of your head towards the far wall. And straighten-ish your legs, getting your hamstrings to stretch. Now you can use your feet to help push your hands longer to get more of a stretch on your back. None of these poses are resting poses. The entire practice is nothing but work, except when you need to take a break. 5, release. Inhale, come all the way back up. And on your next exhale, forward fold. Maybe you can make a bind across the bottoms of your feet or grab onto the outsides of your feet. And again, draw your collarbones towards the front of your mat, crown of your head towards the far wall. Your gaze is down at your mat or at your knees. Try to moon the person behind you and see how much more room you get. That little bit of tilting your pelvis makes a big difference. And 5, release. Inhale, come all the way back up. From here, Utkatasana. So bend your right knee, bring the right sole into your right inner thigh. Inhale your spine tall, and exhale, reach both hands for your left toes. Now this pose also opens up your right hip, although it doesn't seem possible. You have more flexibility, or you can create more flexibility when you do asymmetric poses, and you get side benefits. It's kind of like friends with benefits. Inhale, rise all the way back up. And exhale, forward fold again. This time, make a bind across the bottom of your foot. Again, your collarbones forward. Maybe draw your pelvis back a little bit. You can really feel this in your hip socket, possibly. Certainly in your hamstrings, in your lower back, and all the way along your spine. And release. Inhale, come all the way up. This time, grab your right foot, swing it a little bit, and then bring that right heel to your left hip crease, if it is willing to go there. This is just another process of opening up your right hip, getting prepared for Lotus. Inhale, spine tall, and exhale, forward fold. You may not be able to reach your foot. If you have issues with that knee, if you can feel it, back up. You definitely don't want to harm a knee doing a silly yoga practice. That's why we have pain, so we know when to quit. In 5, inhale, come all the way back up. Release that right leg out to meet the left. Bend that left knee, bring your left sole into your left inner thigh, chest high. Exhale, forward fold, reaching for your toes. Try pushing that right hip back a little bit. Slow down your breathing. On your next inhale, release. Come all the way up. And exhale, forward fold again. This time making a bind across the bottom of that foot if you can. You should be really feeling this in your shoulders. Your shoulder blades, instead of kissing, are being drawn off to the sides of your chest. Your serratus muscles from your ribs and your chest muscles are doing a lot of pulling here. And release. Inhale, come all the way back up. This time, lift your left foot up, keeping that foot flexed. Bring that heel into your right hip crease. Note if there's any sensation on that knee. Inhale tall and exhale forward fold. Sometimes you can't go very far, other times you can go way farther. Last week, it was nowhere close to touching my toes, my heel on my hip crease. On your next exhale, release. Inhale, come all the way back up. Help your left leg to come out to the front. And from here, cross your ankles, and maybe you can do a bump up, maybe not. This is the only one we're going to do, so don't really worry about it. But inhale, bump up, and kick your feet out in front. I think we have time for a quick Marichi. We'll do half of the Marichi. So bend your right knee. Bring your right heel towards your right sit bone. This first one is a forward fold. So bring your right arm inside that right knee. Inhale your spine tall and exhale forward fold. Left hand can be grabbing onto that straight left leg. Maybe you can get that elbow into your armpit, maybe not. Again, your crown of your head towards the far wall. Collarbones towards the front of your mat. In 5, release. Inhale, come all the way back up. This time, bend that left knee. Bring that left heel to your right sit bone, and then bring your right heel back down in front. Just makes your body a little bit more compact. Inhale your spine tall. That's the key to most poses. And exhale, forward fold. Now maybe you can get that right arm all the way in front of that shin. Maybe you can take that left arm all the way behind you and make a bind with your right hand. And maybe you think I need to seek help. And release. Inhale. Straighten both legs out to the front of your mat. And bend your left knee. Bring your heel up towards your left sit bone. We'll do this straightforward bend again. Inhale your spine tall. Maybe you can get that left arm in front. And then forward fold. Grab onto those toes. With your right hand to right feet. Maybe you only have one right foot. And 5, release. Inhale, sit all the way back up. Bend that right knee, the right heel to the left sit bone, and then place that left heel down in the instep of the other foot. Inhale your spine tall, and exhale, forward fold. Maybe that right arm can come around behind you. But whatever you're in, take the crown of your head towards the far wall. Your gaze is down. And maybe you get a 1/4 millimeter of movement each week. And that's progress. And 5, release. Inhale, come all the way back up. Bring both legs out in front. And we've come to Utkatasana. So, butterfly pose. So, bring your soles of your feet together. This is done in 2 stages. So the first one, you bring your heels relatively close to your sit bones. Now that is a personal opinion of where that is. Whatever feels good, you should be getting a nice groin stretch from this. Grab onto your toes, inhale, crown of your head up towards the ceiling, tuck your chin in, and then on an exhale, forward fold. Again, crown of your head towards the wall. And don't be afraid to make an adjustment. If this is just too hard, just move your feet an inch farther forward. It may be way more satisfying, and you'll get the same benefit. And 5, on your inhale, come up all the way. This time, move your feet forward so that you're roughly a square between your ankles and your thighs. Inhale your spine tall, and exhale, forward fold. This time, if you wish, you can bring your forearms underneath your ankles, although that's not necessary. You won't get extra style points for that, but you will get a little bit more weight, helping gravity. Again, lengthen your spine. This is a spine lengthener. Try mooning the person behind you again. Just see what that does. And 5, release. Inhale, walk your hands back up. Straighten your legs out to the front of the mat. Push your heels away. And then it's time to come to your version of Lotus. Now, your version may be just sitting in Utkatasana with your legs crossed. That is great. I know many people who can't do that. Half Lotus is where you would bring one heel up onto your inner thigh and just tuck the other heel underneath the other leg. And that is great. Now, if the class has been good enough to open up your body, and if your body is ready, maybe you can bring both heels to opposite hip crease. And don't think this is something that you can do immediately. It took me 6 years to do it the first time. But anyway, from here, just rest your hands on your knees for a minute. Close your eyes. And just let your body get used to this position. And then open your eyes, bring your arms out behind you, or out to the side. Bring your hands behind you. Now, you can make a mudra if your palms can come together. You can clasp your hands together. You can grab onto opposite elbows or opposite forearms, which is all I can do. Lift your chest high. And over the next 10 breaths, I'd like you to begin to fold forward so that you come as far as you can in 10 breaths, but pay strict attention to how your body feels as you're coming forward, so you can experience everything that's happening in your body. Notice when one bone impacts on another and you want to make an adjustment. Maybe that won't be the case in just another 2 seconds. Notice the muscles that relieve its neighbor. And notice your breath. Be a dispassionate observer. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, begin to rise up. And once you're vertical, release your arms, and then straighten out your arms and bring the back of your palms, the back of your hands on top of your knees. You can make a mudra here or not. Really doesn't matter. Stretch the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Tuck your chin in a little bit. You can bow your head or just gaze off at that horizon. Close your eyes. We'll be here for 10 breaths. Slow down your breathing. begin to deepen your breath. When you're ready, open up your eyes. Carefully untangle your feet. Help your feet come out towards the front of your mat, straightening your legs. Push your heels away, bring your hands behind your hips. And then wave your feet from left to right. Now rotate your fingers in your hip sockets, bringing relief. Bringing more fluids. And then come all the way down onto your elbows, onto your back. Bring your arms up towards the ceiling, then rotate them towards the wall behind your head and stretch from your heels to your palms. From your toes to your fingers. Then return your arms back down by your sides, or out from your sides. If you want to cover up, now's the time to get it. Maybe rock your hips a little bit, finding the perfect place for your sacrum on the mat. Same with your legs and your feet. Stretch your spine long, crown of your head up towards the wall beyond your head. Lift your head 1 inch, tuck your chin, place your head back down. Take a deep cleansing breath into your nose and exhale out through your nose. Take another in through your nose, out through your nose, and take rest. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers and to your toes, to your wrists, and to your ankles. gently roll your head from left to right. And when you're ready, walk your footprints up towards your sit bones. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right. And the next time you come over towards your right side, pause there for just a moment in fetal pose using your right arm as a pillow. And do a quick body scan to determine if you have any tension or stress that may still be hiding within your tissues so that you can address them later today or later this week. And then using the strength of your left hand, push the floor away, rise up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this morning. Thank you for motivating me to get out of bed when bed felt so good. But thank you most of all for taking care of your body and your breath and your mind through the practice of yoga. Take the compassion and the empathy that you practice on your mat with you everywhere you go and share it with your family, your friends, and each person you may meet. Namaste. My name is Clint, and this has been Ashtanga Yoga.